Hi, welcome to lesson 3 of the Rudiments of Music from the Scratch series. In this lesson, we'll be talking about pitch and accidentals. Now, the pitch concept. The pitch of a note simply describes how high or low it sounds. So the keys of the piano keyboard are arranged in ascending order of pitch from left to right. So when I say pitch, I mean D is expected to sound higher than C in pitch, so also E is expected to sound higher than D. Even this note, this E flat, is expected to sound higher than D. And just that order. We have ascending order of increasing pitch on the piano keyboard. So this is the same concept behind the arrangement of notes on the stave. You have the pitch in increasing order, upwards increasing pitch, downwards decreasing pitch, and so from left to right you find the pitch increasing. So this C right here will sound an octave higher than this one because it's simply higher on the scale than this one. That's the idea about pitch. Is this note sounding higher than this one, then this one is of a higher pitch than C. That's for pitch. Okay, sharp, flat, or natural signs. Now these signs, sharp, this is natural, this is flat, they can appear either in the key signature right at the beginning of the stave or in front of the note they affect. So when you see any of these symbols right in front of a note, then you call them accidentals. That is, if they appear in any other position other than in the key signature, you call them accidentals. Okay, the sharp, the flat, and the natural. So what do they do? A sharp sign, this symbol here, is used to raise the note by 1/2 step. So it simply raises the pitch of a note by 1 semitone. That's what a sharp does. A flat is used to lower a note by 1/2 step, also by 1 semitone. So when we say 1/2 step, we mean just a semitone movement. So in the intervals, we have the whole step, we have the half step. So the shortest movement in music is an half step, and that's 1 semitone. When the steps becomes 2, it becomes a whole step and becomes a tone, that is 2 semitones. So in this case, when we deal with sharps and flats, we simply deal with 1 semitone, that is an half step. So when you see the natural sign, this symbol here, this sign is used to deactivate or cancel the effect of a previous sharp or flat. So what that means is that if a note had been raised before by sharp, or if it had been lowered before by flat, the moment you see the natural sign appearing in front of that note, maybe just ahead, you see that that note returns back to its original sound. This note here will sound G normally. You can hear that sound. Now with the sharp, the pitch has been raised by an half step, just by a semitone. Can you see the difference between the sounds? Now notice this difference. With the natural sign in place, the sound returns back to G. Can you see? With the sharp, natural, good. Right? This is G, G becomes G sharp. The natural sign takes it back to G. Of course, you know that on the treble stave, the second line bears note G. So I told you before, you will not find letter names in real music. You find notes. This is a crotchet note. Okay, this note will sound A. This is A now. This is B. Right? This is C. Now look at this. This is C. Now C with a flat becomes B again. Hear that sound? This is supposed to be C, but because of this flat, it becomes B. Just the same sound with this, the same sound. Okay, but if I'm to remove the flat, I'm just going to remove the flat somewhere here. You see now, C sounds C. That's it also. So don't forget, this is space F A C E. So the note here on this space is C, and it sounds that. Okay, so if I add the flat again, it's going to sound B. Good. These are just notes for illustration. Okay, let's look at this one here. This is E. This is E. From every good boy does fine. Remember that the first line is E. Okay, so with this second note here on this space is supposed to be F. Okay, but because of the flat, it's still going to sound E. Can you see this? This one is still sounding E also. Let's assume I want to naturalize the effect of this flat here. I'm just going to add the natural sign to this one. Can you see now? It's sounding F now, just like this one will sound. Can you see? Another thing I want to mention is that let's assume I didn't apply the natural sign. The moment you cross the bar line, that means once you exceed this measure, the accidental becomes of non-effect. Okay, the accidental becomes neutralized once you cross the bar line. This sounds E, this sounds the same sound, but the moment I cross the bar line, can you see the difference in the sound? So I don't have to put my natural sign on this one. Whether I put it or not, it's still going to sound F. So this is F, this is F, this is E, this is still sounding E, just because between E and F is an half step. So with a flat, it's taking it back to E. But if I remove this flat, it's going to sound F. Alright? So this is still sounding E because of the flat. If I remove it, it's going to sound F. So you can see that a flat actually lowers the pitch by an half step or by a semitone. This is C with a flat. Can you see that? Flat sounds lower in pitch. This is E, sounds higher, but with a flat, it's going to sound lower again, just like this one. Even though it's higher on the stave, it's sounding with a lower pitch because it's been lowered by a flat. Now, the natural sign here will make this sound higher. So, like I said, once you cross the bar line, the accidental becomes of non-effect. Alright, that's it. Now let's just look at the concept of enharmonic equivalence. And this is a situation whereby you have a note bearing two names but sounding as one note. So is the case of G sharp and A flat. Most people call this key right here, they call it E flat, but you can also call this D sharp, because if I were to raise D by a sharp, I would have D sharp. And if I were to lower E by a flat, I would have E flat. So this one has just been brought out as a very simple example. When you raise G by a sharp, it will not sound as this note again, but as this one. This is just the theory behind it. And if it is A, once you have flat on A, it sounds as this same note called G sharp. So this same note bears G sharp or A flat. That's enharmonic equivalence. It's the same thing in the case of E and F. Now when you say E sharp, there's nothing like E sharp in real sense because there's no demarcator between E and F. Once you place a sharp on E, it will sound F. If you were to place a flat on F, for example, it will bounce back to E. That's the idea. So how about double sharps and double flat? A double sharp is simply two sharps combined together. So instead of having two sharps by themselves, there's a unique symbol, and this is the symbol for double sharp. So G double sharp will become A natural. Of course, when we say natural, it's in its natural state. Okay, so G double sharp, when you see the symbol beside this note on the G line, the sound will be the same as A natural. Okay, this is the symbol for double sharp. When you come across the symbol, this is a double sharp. Now for C, if you have C double flat, it's going to sound B flat, because look at C. If you place a flat on C, it comes back to B because that's the nearest neighbor. Okay, in the case of a sharp, the nearest neighbor to C with a sharp is C sharp, but now we're dealing with flat. Can you see there's no black key between B and C? So once you place a flat on C, it bounces back to B. So when you have double flat, of course that means two flats. So double flat, one flat, two flats. So double flat will make it B flat. Double flat is just two flats in action. Double sharp also two sharps in action. Okay, this is G, G sharp, G double sharp falls on A. Okay, that's the idea. So that brings us to the end of lesson 3. I hope you enjoyed this video. Kindly hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. See you in lesson 4.